Welcome, Falcon fans, to week 8 of the Coaches Show. I tell you, we talk about it every week, but it is definitely flying by. So we're glad you're joining us today with Coach Reynolds and my partner Stephen Lyles to kind of recap a little bit last week, and we'll talk about what's upcoming. So, Coach, talk about last week. It was cold and it was a little rainy, and got a little bit of everything.
It was definitely an interesting evening, to say the least. You have those from time to time. Every week's different and the situation's different. And, last week we were definitely presented a different situation with the weather. And we were hoping it was going to hold off a little bit. And if it did rain just a little bit and it kind of go away. And we were just right in that area, which, thankful for the rain we always needed around here. Definitely thankful, but could have used it maybe a few hours later or earlier even. But, just an interesting night, but, presented some challenges for both teams, obviously, if you were there, if you watched it. So, definitely thankful to get it out of there with the win.
From a coaching perspective, I talked about this with Lance Lonnet this week. You can build your schedule, and obviously you built this one to be playoff ready. But one of the things you can't schedule is the elements. Is it kind of nice to get one of those games in before the postseason, just in case you see one there?
Looking back now, yes. Last Friday, I don't know if I was thinking, I was like, just give us good weather, please. But no, it is. I mean, I think, a situation like that, we haven't had very many of those since I've, been at Bushland that I can remember. Somewhere around, I don't know, 15 or 16, maybe we had one in Littlefield that was similar, where it was rain all day. It rained so much that Littlefield's field, the drainage on their turf field couldn't keep up with the amount of water, and the water was backed up. When it was backed up, the turf was bubbling off the ground. So we pulled up, all we saw was big bubbles of turf, and we thought there's no way we're playing. But anyways, ultimately ended up going away. We were able to play. But yeah, it's good just to have those situations, I guess, come up, because like if it happens again, then we've been there, and you just have to adjust. I know for sure by the time we got to halftime, we talked about it in there, with us coaches before we talked to the kids. All right, kind of here's where we're at. 3 touchdown lead. Hard to throw the ball right now just because it's hard to get a grip on it. We felt pretty confident that they weren't going to score on us unless we gave them one on offense or just gave them really good field position. So it definitely changed some things. It changed the game plan a little bit. We kind of decided we're going to come out the second half and slow down, which is not us, and huddle up a little bit and just kind of run the football. I think we threw the ball once the second half on a 4th down. So I thought our kids handled that well. And just you got to find a way to win, however that is.
Once again, we talked about the defense a little bit. They just did another excellent job of really giving the offense great field position all night, shutting down that Muleshoe offense as well, which I think they expected they could move the ball. But as most teams have figured out, our defense is a lot quicker and a lot bigger, and they're in that backfield just constantly. How does that play into the game? When you get half the field to work, you don't have to have 2/3 of the field to actually work.
That was huge. I think you look back on it, it seemed like we were getting the ball on the plus side of the field all night, and they were getting the ball backed up, way back in the minus part, inside their own 20 all night. As a coach, you still, even though in the situation with the ball and all that being wet, we wanted to punch the ball in a few more times. Obviously we had one 4th down right on the goal line where the snap just came out of his hand. A couple more times we wish we could have punched it in. We felt like we should have been, a little more comfortable with the ball. Those things happen. So yeah, defense just played awesome again. We scored with the football. First play of the game, even they try to come out and throw, and Austin Ryder hits the quarterback, right in the chest, and flutters that ball out there, and Zach Zunga picks it off. So again, set the tone, defense, set the tone for the game, and I thought we played pretty good offensively early, and again we ran the ball effective. It's hard to, especially in a game like that where at some point it becomes evident on both sides that it's going to be hard to throw at either team, and everybody's just putting everybody they can in the box to stop the run. It gets pretty tough. So I thought our offensive line did a good job, and our running backs, ran well.
Talk about a guy that doesn't get enough credit, but when you watch the snaps from both sides, it was evident that Turner Johnson, they couldn't get a snap up half the time.
Yeah.
But it seemed like Turner and DJ, that snap was there every single time.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough until you've done it, and I'm sure Chris knows from having a son that was a center. Sometimes in a game like that, everybody forgets about the center until it's a game like that, and then they notice every bad snap, you know. So it can be a tough position to play because you're your hands on the football every single play, you know. And until you get the bad weather like that, you kind of forget how important that is sometimes. And he did a good job of handling it, like you said, you know. Muleshoe had a tough time with it, and understandably so. And we had a few, and over the course of a game like that, you're probably going to have a few. You know, we had the one down by the goal line. We thought we were about to score on 4th down. That's probably my fault as well, because at that point we're trying to play fast still. We needed to probably slow it down, get a dry football in there, make sure his hands are dry. He had a towel. We had multiple towels on the sidelines. We're trying to switch in and out, you know, and going up there real fast, trying to do it was probably my fault as far as not letting him get a chance to really get, you know, a grip on the football. But yeah, he handled it well. DJ, you know, handled it well. You know, catching the snaps, that's the other part. There was some of the Muleshoes I felt like that weren't bad snaps. Maybe they didn't catch it. So, you know, just good job to our kids for handling that.
It is tough having a kid play center. You can do 300 straight great snaps, but it's the one that everybody remembers. So, well, talk to us a little bit about the rest of the district as of last week. You know, we come out 1-0, so Muleshoe's 0-1 in district. How'd the rest of the district come out?
Well, it was a 5-team district. Shallow Water was off last week, had their bye, and Dalhart and River Road played in Dalhart, and Dalhart won by 2. Close game the whole time there. You know, it was, I don't think they quite had the rain during the game like we had, just watching on film and talking to those guys a little bit, but it's just kind of like that everywhere, you know. But yeah, Dalhart won by 2, beat River Road, and you know, that's who we had tonight. So that's all there was. I mean, it's all there's going to be.
Right.
One other game to talk about
game.
the district, you know, from here on out. So once again, we drew the last bye and play all 10 games, and you know, just hopefully that. I don't like that particularly, but you just hope that it comes at the right time.
It's almost become a habit now.
We're not going to change it now, so you just hope that it's at the right time, and you know, pray that our kids are able to heal and rest during that week. So that makes the season go quick though, because like you said, to start this thing, I mean, we're game 8 right now.
Yeah.
And I can't believe it, you know. And even when you don't have that bye in there, it kind of sometimes that bye slows it down and kind of gives you a chance to rest. And we've just been flying week to week to week here. So, yeah, you know, we'll just keep rolling with it and keep plugging guys in there. And we got a tough one tonight.
So, transition to tonight. Obviously, everybody's playing River Road. Well, except for your freshmen. How'd last night go?
Last night went well. Our freshmen ended up playing Wheeler JV here. We needed a game, and they were looking for a game as well. And did good, went well for our guys. They played well. Did good bounce back win after last week. You know, I know those guys don't like to lose a game, aren't accustomed to it, and I like that. So it was a good win for them. JV played well and won, and both our junior high, 7th and 8th grade, went over to River Road. Played really well, got some wins. Our B team got a game in with Wellington's 7th grade. Again, we were looking for a game for those B team kids and just try to get them as many snaps as possible. It's hard because not everybody in our district, not everybody has even a B team at all. Some only have a combined, so you know, it's a little frustrating at times, but we just try to find games, and those guys should get games for sure the last 4 weeks, counting last night. You know, we got a couple with those B team guys. We should have Shallow Water and Dalhart the next 2 weeks, and then we added a game with Perryton on that bye week. So yeah, it was a good night for the sub-varsities. You know, facing the wing tee. You know, even with Wellington,
yeah.
You're facing the wing tee, so a little bit different for those guys, but it's good to see different types of offenses for sure.
So tonight, taking on River Road, what do you think are kind of some of the key things you want to see come out of this ball game, other than a win, obviously, but beyond that?
Yeah, win is the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
But you know, look, there's different ways of doing it, like you said. So tonight, you know, the thing's going to be what River Road does offensively. You know, they like to possess the football, slow it down, run the wing tee, get 2 or 3 yards in a cloud of dust. They may be going for it on fourth down, so you want to get them off the field. And we need to be efficient with our possessions because you may or may not have as many that you're accustomed to because you got a team that's, for the most part, we play spread type teams through the year. Not everybody's tempo, not everybody's no huddle, but for the most part, you're seeing spread teams. And I think that's why they went, back to this offense is just to do something different that you don't see very often. So, getting defensively, getting off the field, getting them off schedule. Second and long, third and long is what we want them in. They want to be in second to medium, and third to short, and to stay on schedule where they can have those short yards, just go for it on fourth down. So we got to get them off the field and get them behind schedule on defense. And offensively, like I said, we got to play fast. We try to get as many plays in as we can. We've been averaging probably around 70, 75 offensive plays a game. We're trying to hit 80 every game. We will have we would have hit that every game if not, and it's a good thing, but getting some leads in the second half, slowing it down, taking time off the clock. So as far as the tempo goes, I like where we're at. We may or may not get that many plays. We have to be good with those possessions and score touchdowns when we get to football.
When you face a different offense like this, does your scout team kind of pick it up through the week? I mean, how have they done? It's always interesting because, when we run the spread, when we face spread teams, those are easy weeks.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes the thing that gets lost is those scout team guys, they learn a new offense every week to run it up against us.
Yeah, that's a great point. Our kids do a great job of picking it up usually. I mean, it's a little different. Sometimes we got to tell them, no, it's not like we do it, or no, you're not lined up. But if we can keep the plays somewhat similar, as far as running the counter, running the power, or sweep, or stretch, or whatever, we can use our terminology for that. It's a matter of looking at a scout card and lining up. And we know in tight end wing, we never do that, So it's like that's a great point. Really thankful for our kids because they're smart kids. They do a good job of transitioning, and maybe Mondays maybe not the best show of that. We may kind of have to get on again and say, no, here, can't you read a card? Here's where you're at. So it is different, and we ask a lot of those guys, and just like those sophomores that are on the JV right now. We have a lot of seniors that were on the JV as sophomores, and they were doing the same thing 2 years ago. So our job is to convince those kids that your job is important, not only for the Friday night, for those guys making them better, but it makes you better. I mean, if you're a JV lineman, you can go up against Charlie Pitt and Easton Fuentes and those guys up front. You're not going to face anybody on the JV that's that good. So, it's very important for us, and our kids do a good job with it.
Back to defense a little bit, Charlie Pitt and Easton both. Charlie's so dominating up on that front line, and it's funny when they asked us up in the booth last week from Muleshoe, how big is that kid? And it's funny because if you see Charlie outside of pads, he doesn't look that big, but he looks like a mid-80s defensive lineman out there playing, and so he plays a lot bigger, I think, on the field than what he actually is from the size-wise. He's not sneaking up on anybody anymore at this point, but he still seems to be just that dominating force. But even when they double team him, how good is that for the other players? Because then that frees up the defense to even do more.
Yeah, like I said, Charlie, he just plays with such a high motor, and it's really all those guys all across the whole front, and that's what makes it so special this year. It's the fact that, they all play with the motor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Charlie, Easton, Shrewsbury, JT, Suggs,
My favorite name to sing, by the way, is JT.
JT.
I always have my favorite name,
Yeah.
so I had the Scud Missile for a couple of years, but this year it's JT Suggs. That's my favorite name.
Yeah, it's but they all play with the motor. And like you said, if you focus too much on one, the other one's going to beat you. And I think that's why we've been so effective. Then you throw on the guys on the next level behind them. Matt Bridges playing back linebacker. That's just a good defensive front box. Where those guys they're explosive off the ball. They're physical and they're relentless. And you watch them even plays that they get blocked on. Maybe they get beat a little bit. They're still attacking, they're still fighting to go to the football. And really, that's our whole defense, our mentality, I think, is just to relentlessly pursue the football no matter where you're at. And I think that's what you see on Friday night. So, yeah, definitely that front, Charlie, Easton, all those guys, you know, rolling in there. They're tough to deal with because, like you said, you know, I mean, Charlie walked in the door right now. You know, he's a good
It's
sized
more like
kid,
a basketball
but
player.
yeah, you know, and that's, you know, he gets that 80s Nick roll cowboy collar on, and it doesn't matter how you look, it's not how you play. He plays like a wild man, so he's just fun to watch.
It was funny, I was listening to Sideline to Sideline, which is a podcast. I think those guys are out of East Texas.
They are.
Yeah. And, but they go around and they've seen a lot of 3A teams. I think they came up and watched us
They came
play.
us to Dumas. They
To
were
Dumas. And they'll talk about other regions and other defenses, and then inevitably they'll come back and they'll say, but that Bushland defense is the best in the state. And it's funny because they'll go for 30 minutes talking about all these other regions, and then they'll go, well, let's go back to Region 1. Yeah, that Bushland defense. And so, good compliment to those guys and to Coach for doing for what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's like I said, that's a compliment to the kids, and that's a compliment to our defensive coaches because just like any other team go throughout the football season, you're going to have some challenges. You're going to have some injuries and some different things happen. We've had to plug some guys in, you know, different weeks, and yeah, that can make you a little bit nervous, but what that tells you that our defensive coaches are doing such a great job because they're getting the next kids ready, you know, and the kids are understanding it's my turn. I've got to play with that, you know, relentless pursuit of the football. It doesn't matter who we're plugging in right now; they're all playing hard, just getting after it.
How big is that? I feel like this senior class has set that tone from day one, coming into two-a-days. And they talked about it. If you talk to any of those guys, it's almost like they built to this year. They knew that this was their year. But it feels like they've changed that. Like the expectation, even when those sophomores step on the field, your Max Rodriguez's, your Jackson Fetches, like it's an understood expectation. How nice is that for y'all as coaches that the players have created that alongside you?
Yeah, they've done a great job of, you know, I guess use the word culture, but that's a big buzzword now on, you know, social media and everything, but it's an expectation. You know, the standard is that we're going to play harder and more physical than everybody we played Friday night. And that's been something that I feel like has, you know, kind of been the expectation for a long time, to be honest with you. Even going back to Coach Thomas was here, we're going to play harder and more physical. And, you know, there's some years where you get it done a little bit better than other years. And, but most of that stuff is based off effort. And you don't have to be talented to give your most effort, you know, your best effort. There's certain things you may be limited to, but all we ask is, you know, all you got. And when you give us all you got, that's all we want. And for those kids to come do that every Friday night, those younger kids, they see those older kids doing it. You know, it's the kind of deals by example. You can talk about it all you want, but what your actions, what you're doing is the example. You know, those younger kids, you know, those JV kids, those freshman kids, those junior high kids that are on the sidelines that watch the game or even just watching from the stands, I think they have an expectation of this is how we're supposed to play. And, you know, I think our kids play with a clear mind. Our coaches do a good job of making it simple, making it easy, and we just pin our ears back and go. And that's kind of the expectation for us.
So yesterday we had an opportunity to sit down with kind of your three senior trainers. We'll call them your more senior out of that group, one junior and two seniors. We really wanted to sit down and kind of give everybody an idea of there's supporting cast that goes around this football team that are also students as well. And so we had a really good conversation. We'll post that next week. But Coach, talk to us a little bit about how important they are to that team and how, you know, they, I know, expressed they really feel part of the team and to be included.
Yeah, very much so. You know, the three you're talking about, you know, the two seniors were Tori and Lizzie, and they've been with us for 4 years, and, you know, they've done an awesome job. It can be kind of difficult to keep student trainers for 4 years, especially just because they're out there on the ground of practice, two-a-days and all that stuff, you know, just like the players and the coaches. And, you know, it can be a long haul, you know, because then they help with winter sports, then they help with spring sports. And for those two just to stick it out and make it, you know, these 4 years has been awesome. And they're so responsible, so mature, just good people, all around good people, those girls. And then, you know, like I said, the other one that you interviewed, Bailey McDonald's a junior. Thankfully, we'll have her back. And it's kind of the same thing you're talking about, what you hope, like with the football guys, you hope that those young ones, we have some young ones, some freshmen, sophomores, you hope that those girls see how the older girls are doing it and their responsibility. Because, you know, losing Megan, our head trainer this year, a couple weeks before two-a-days, it was tough, but we're scrambling, you know, to try to find. And I'll go ahead and plug in right now too. You know, thankful, very thankful for Ron Halsey and Toby Browder, our two trainers who are making a work for us right now. They've been great, you know, and just stepping in. And but those two girls, especially those two seniors, stepped right in. I mean, they were, as soon as we knew Megan wasn't coming back, they're got group messages going with those trainers. They're having meetings about, we got to do this, we got to do that, have this ready to go. In the meantime, while they're doing that, I'm trying to interview people and get things lined up. And I know talking to Ron and Toby, they were, you know, setting those girls, and they were on top of it from the get-go, and they still are. I mean, they're week to week, just a daily routine. I mean, they're just very mature, and you know, if they wanted to, you know, probably have a future in athletic training if that's the route they wanted to go. But regardless of what they do, they're going to be successful just because they're good people and they're hard workers.
I think I'm done for this week. I mean,
Shut 'em up there.
Man,
well,
wow, good job.
that's what I was going to ask.
Don't give away too much of the interview.
Well, you know, I was sitting here thinking, I can't wait for them to hear the interview, so I wasn't going to share too much of it. And then I thought, how do you follow that up? Like, they really are. Like, when you can, I think you lead that with, there's so many support people. And we're going to do some more. We're excited. I mean, I feel like we've got a few more weeks of football coming. Believing there's some Thanksgiving football in your future. Actually, let me go and ask you that.
You know, Coach Mayfield has a certain shirt. That's his December
That's
shirt,
right.
right? So we're hoping we see him in his December shirt.
As you begin, obviously, not just head coaching, but as the AD, with so many successful programs, you know, our girls just did make it to regionals and cross country and everything that goes into that. Talk a little bit about just the overall, because sometimes I think we see you as Coach Reynolds and we see you on Friday night. There's a lot that goes into, you talked about the hiring side and having to scramble when Megan couldn't come back. What does a normal week look like for AD Josh Reynolds, not Coach Reynolds?
Is there such thing as a normal week? You know, it's fun. You know, it's busy and it's hectic, but it's fun, and that's what this job entails. And it's you know, like you said, most people probably just see Friday night, Coach Reynolds out there, you know, coaching football, you know, but there's a lot that goes on, you know, during the week. You know, one of my main jobs is doing my best to try to support kids in all sports, boys and girls, and coaches. You know, that's my main job, is to try to help them make it better for the coaches, make it better for the kids, try to support them. I can't be at everything. There's only one of me. There's lots of different things going on, and that's a good thing. You know, we have, I'm just being the Lord to shut me up, tell me I'm done. But, you know, like right now, you know, we have cross country going on, volleyball, football. You know, here, I think next week you have girls basketball starting to kick off their practices. There won't be scrimmaging or anything yet, but they start kicking off their practices. So, you know, here we go with all this stuff going on. You know, on top of all that, trying to make what I can. You know, I have my own family to take care of and support as well, and you know, that's probably the most difficult thing, is trying to balance that and understand that my first role is and needs to be dad and husband too. So it's busy, but you know, like I said, I don't consider it work. You know what I mean? If I can go enjoy what I do every day and be around people and be around good kids and the staff that I have, you know, I don't know what else I could ask for really. So yeah, I'm not gonna go into, but nobody wants to, you know, sad story for me, feel sorry for me, but it's busy just like anybody else. You know, anybody else that has 3 kids in 6th grade, 8th grade, 10th grade, and then, you know, they're in charge of several different areas. You know, it's just busy, but that's life. And you know, I enjoy it, and fortunately have great kids and coaching staff to work with.
Is Copley ready not to have his basketball team till December?
I hope so. Yeah, it's, you know, that's, if and when we get to December, I might have Coach Mayfield make a guest appearance on a Friday morning with his shirt on, and we'll see. So,
We've had him on before in the past.
Yeah, so but not gonna get ahead of ourselves. We're gonna focus on tonight. So hopefully, like I said, tough game with them. Hopefully we go there and get a win.
All right, well, we'll wrap up this coaches show for this week. So kickoff is at 7 o'clock in River Road. So a long travel for us this week. Just kidding. We'll kick off our show hopefully around 6:30ish. We never commit to an exact time, but we should be good to go. Tight quarters tonight for us. I don't think Steven's had the honor of sitting in the River Road press box, so it's a good thing we're good buddies because we're going to be close when it's over.
If it's closer than Happy State Bank Field,
It is.
Oh,
I assure you. Just call
the
Mark.
good news is
Call Mark if you
it'll
have
be
any
a quick game tonight because River Road won't. I mean, I don't know that I've ever been out of a sub-varsity Thursday night with freshman and JV. I mean, I think we were out by 7:45 last night. It was fast.
Yeah. I don't want to hear anything about tight quarters after seeing y'all dry in the press box last week, and I was holding 11.
We were dry in the press box. Our only problem was just the.
Thank you to Trina Ryder for helping keep
Yeah,
the
she
window
kept reaching
clear.
back and clearing the windows for us during the day. So we appreciate it.
Ryder
Thanks.
saving the day.
Absolutely. So anyway, as always, come out. It's going to be great weather tonight. I think it's going to be beautiful tonight around kickoff, probably, I would guess, around 75. I think today's highs around 80.
Sounds good. I'm in.
Yeah, so, and dry.
And dry.
And dry. So come out to River Road tonight. If you can't, obviously join us at 6:30 and we'll get it kicked off. So for Stephen Lyles and Coach Reynolds, this is Chris Welch with Bushland Falcon Media. Have a great week.
Go Falcons.